The San Francisco Giants had an absolutely insane offseason, and this video is going to showcase why I believe that they could be a World Series contender this year, and why I believe that people really, despite the big contracts that they have signed in the offseason and the transactions that they have made, that people really aren't shedding the light on the Giants that they should. Um, I'm going to kind of go back like a few years ago and kind of start talking about do you guys remember whenever Giancarlo Stanton was on the trade block from the Marlins back in what was that, like 2017 offseason, I guess? So quite a few years ago now. Do you guys remember how heavy the Giants were on trying to get Giancarlo Stanton? Even when Bryce Harper and Manny Machado were free agents the following season, they were in the mix. The Giants have always been in the mix to get free agents. And I feel like for quite a few years after their World Series years, they just kept a lot of the same team and they wanted to improve every offseason, but it just never happened. Aaron Judge, Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa signed with the Giants. We thought Aaron Judge to the Giants was a done deal as well. Arson Judge was apparently signed to the San Francisco Giants. Um, the Giants have always been in the mix, and they've just never been able to do it. This year, I feel like they took a completely different approach in the offseason, and they went out and they just decided to build a team around a bunch of good free agents instead of like the top end guys. Like we had some insane free agents this year. Shohei Ohtani was at the top of the list. The Giants weren't really in the mix on that. I think they were focusing on these other guys that they ended up going out and signing. I'm looking through the transactions that the Giants made this offseason, and they added a lot more than I even kind of remembered. Um, I want to say the first thing that they added in the offseason was the Jung Ho Lee contract. Center fielder from overseas, projected to be a three. I think he hit like 340 for his career overseas. Um, he is coming off an injury. I believe he ended like half of his season last year on the IL. But he's coming back this year. A lot of people project him to be like a 300 plus type hitter. He will be the leadoff guy. I'm pretty sure that was confirmed by the Giants this year. So they have a guy there. They have a guy that they can build on to be a pure hitter at the top of the order. He doesn't strike out very much. He walks at a decent rate. He's got decent speed. He's got actually really, really good speed in the outfield. He wasn't a great defender overseas, I'm pretty sure, but with his speed and just a different scenery over in San Francisco. Hopefully, he can find a good way to defend over there. They also did a lot more, obviously signing Blake Snell and Matt Chapman recently. They also signed Jorge Soler recently. Traded for Robbie Ray, which I feel like not many people remember. They ended up trading away Desclafani and Mitch Haniger back to the Seattle Mariners for Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray is on the IL to start the year. I don't think he's coming back to like June or July, which kind of sucks. But I mean, adding Robbie Ray to a rotation that is already pretty solid, man. The San Francisco Giants rotation, you got Logan Webb, who was a top 3 Cy Young candidate last year, an absolutely insane pitcher, one of the most underrated pitchers in the entire league. Blake Snell, reigning Cy Young winner in the NL. You also got guys like Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, who they signed to a 4-year deal, and they project to be a starter this year. I think that the more I look at the Giants' rotation this year, the more I'm thinking, go ahead and try Jordan Hicks as a starter. If it doesn't work out, you can slide him back in the bullpen. You guys have depth there as pitchers, man. Alex Cobb is supposed to come back early into the season. He just had surgery in like October, I believe, on his hip or something like that. Add Alex Cobb back into the mix. Robbie Ray is coming back in the summer. You guys got some stuff there in the rotation, man, that I feel like not many people are talking about. If Alex Cobb was an all-star last year, man. He's aging like fine wine. If this injury doesn't hold him back, I know he's like 35, 36 at this point, but Alex Cobb was an all-star last year, man. The last few years, Alex Cobb has been a very, very serviceable pitcher. And if you add him back into the mix with Robbie Ray, Blake Snell, Logan Webb, that honestly might be one of the best rotations in all of baseball, and I'm serious about that. Because you got the depth behind them. You got Kyle Harrison, who is one of their top prospects that is projected to be in the tail end of the rotation this year. Jordan Hicks, like I mentioned. And if Jordan Hicks doesn't work out as a starter, throw him back in the bullpen. You have the depth there, and you would be fine. And he would be great in your bullpen, surrounded by another plethora of great relievers. You got Camilo Doval, you got the Rogers brothers in there. Camilo Doval is also, in my opinion, one of the more underrated relievers in all of baseball. I feel like we haven't been paying attention to the Giants over the last few years. Last year, they were one of the more quiet teams throughout the entire season. A lot of people forget that they were like the second or third wild card team for majority of the season, and then towards the end of the year, good runs by the Diamondbacks. Marlins kind of came on strong towards the end of the year, and they kind of flushed the Giants back in the standings a little bit. But the Giants were there. The Giants were there for majority of the year last year. Adding all of these guys this year, I really believe that the Giants. Okay, the title of this video is me saying that I believe that they could be a World Series contender. Do I believe that they're there yet? I don't know. I don't know if they're there yet, because there is a lot of great teams. The Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies. There's a lot of great teams, especially in the NL. I don't really know if I would put the Giants over them yet. But, man, when you really look at it, they have a very, very solid team. And when I say solid, I don't mean mid. I mean, they have an incredibly well-rounded team, man. When you look at their roster, like their lineup projected for this year, you got Jung-Ho Lee. You got Thairo Estrada, who was very solid last year. He was on all-star projections for the first half of last year. Lamont Wade is more. I think he's projected to be their 3-hitter, somebody that can get on base at a very good rate. He can hit for power from the left side. And with Jorge Soler being added to the bunch there at the top of the order, he's probably going to be their 4-hitter. I think that'll really help him, because Lamont Wade being able to walk and get on base, and Jung-Ho Lee, if he's going to be what everyone projects him to be, somebody that can make contact, somebody that has great bat-to-ball skills, get on base, steal a base maybe. Thairo Estrada is a great bat-to-ball guy as well. He's a pretty high average type hitter. Lamont Wade could walk, and then that sets up the lineup for Jorge Soler, and the Giants haven't had that in a long time, man. Like, the Giants haven't had somebody hit 30-plus home runs since Barry Bonds. Like, that's a long time. They have a couple guys now that could do that. Jorge Soler is a perennial 30-plus home run guy, a huge power bat in that lineup. That, as a Blue Jay fan, I wanted Jorge Soler so badly, but the Giants got him, and I think he fits perfectly into that lineup. They also added Matt Chapman, who... Not only, as a Blue Jays fan, I hated seeing him play last year. I'm glad that he's with the Giants. I hope he turns it around. He was one of the most painful guys to watch when he was hitting last year. But I think the Giants are the team that, if he comes to the Giants this year and plays the same way he did for us last year, kind of poor offensively for majority of the season, but elite defensively like he always has been, I think that's going to add a lot of value. The Giants were one of the poorer teams last year defensively. I think they had like minus 15 DRS through the entire season, which is towards the bottom of the league in defensive run saves for the entire league. So adding Matt Chapman to that mix is huge, and I'm curious to see how Jung-Ho Lee is going to perform defensively in the MLB, because like I said, projected he wasn't anything crazy overseas, but yeah, hopefully he can use his speed out in the outfield to be able to track some balls down. He apparently, this is just from what my research has said, that he was very good at tracking balls. It's just sometimes his routes weren't the greatest in the outfield. So, you know, it just depends. He could come over to the MLB and be a Gold Glover. You never know, man. You never know. They also got Patrick Bailey, who was one of the star-studded guys for the Giants last year. Came up. Was an insane defender. I'm talking like, I thought he was going to win Gold Glover for catcher last year. I thought he deserved that over Gabby Moreno. But he didn't end up winning it, unfortunately. Add him to that mix of great pitchers. I think he makes all of those guys better. Blake Snell was somebody who in the last few years has struggled with control. Patrick Bailey is like the best framer in the entire league. Like the best framer in the entire league. He will be able to help Blake Snell a lot. I really believe that. Gary Sanchez last year, for some reason, he became like the greatest defender ever. And him and Blake Snell working together were like the best battery mates since God knows who. Yachty and Adam Wainwright in his prime. So they were putting up crazy numbers when they were together. So I think Blake Snell coming to the Giants with Patrick Bailey, who is an insane defender already. You got to remember, they also signed Tom Murphy. Tom Murphy was somebody that I don't think anyone remembered that they signed. Tom Murphy, the last like year and a half with the Mariners, was somebody that kind of was injury prone and he didn't really play that much. But he's actually got some decent pop, man. I think he was like an 18 to 20 home run guy a couple years ago. Maybe not 20 home runs. I don't think he ever hit that, but 15 to 18 home run guy when healthy. As a backup catcher for Patrick Bailey, I think that's a great signing because he can add a little bit of power that Patrick Bailey kind of lacks. So yeah, like I'm really loving the Giants this year. I know it sounds like I'm glazing them for 20-25 minutes of this video, but I'm really enjoying the year or I'm excited for the year that the Giants are going to have. They also added in Bob Melvin this year as well. Bob Melvin just came from the Padres, who apparently there was turmoil in the locker room, which really isn't like Bob Melvin. He's known to be somebody that can control the locker room, control the guys. He's a veteran presence. He's well respected. I don't know what was going on with San Diego. I have no idea. He's coming over to the Giants. He's got a decent group of like a mix of veterans and a mix of young guys. Like they have a decent amount of young guys on the team, but I think he's going to be able to control that. And the Giants are a well-respected organization. The Padres were kind of just a young organization. Like they're full of like a young owner. They're full of young players. They're full of young coaches and everything. So it was kind of like maybe it was a little weird for him, even though like years ago when Bob Melvin was with the D-backs, that he was full of like young players. Even when he was with the Athletics, he was kind of growing these young players into who they were. He was with Cespedes, Donaldson, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, like those young guys on those Athletics teams. So I was really curious to know what really happened with him and the Padres. Maybe it was just turmoil and they just fell out and it was kind of like whatever. But he's over here with the Giants now. I think he can help them a lot. Bob Melvin is one of those older guys that doesn't really play or doesn't really manage the way that other guys that are older do. I'm somebody that likes to criticize the older coaches in the league because I don't really like that they're zero analytics and they're just eye tests, and it's just not really, it just doesn't really work all that way. I like guys that can use analytics, can use the eye test at the same time. And Bob Melvin has been that for the last few years. He showed that with the Athletics. He showed that with the Padres in his 1 year there, or 1 or 2 years. I don't know how many years he was there. And hopefully he can show that with the Giants this year. The Giants have a great bullpen. He has been somebody that is good at bullpen management. He doesn't like to leave his pitchers in there for like 6 to 6. He usually likes to go like the steady 6 to 7 innings. He is somebody that uses analytics to go to the bullpen at the right time. The Giants have a good amount of guys at the tail end of the bullpen. Taylor Rogers, Tyler Rogers, Camilo Doval, Jordan Hicks if they move him back into the bullpen again this year. They have guys there that if their pitchers can get them through 6 or 7 innings, they can close out the rest of the game and trust that Bob Melvin can control that at a good rate. I think he's a very underrated addition to the team. Nobody's talking about Bob Melvin. Nobody's talking about the Giants, man. That's why I wanted to come on here and talk about them, man. No one is talking about them. Like, even despite all these trades and all these signings, I believe they made the most signings and trades of any team this offseason. Like I said, the last few years, they've missed out on the big guys, and they haven't been able to rebound and get the smaller guys. This year, they weren't going for Ohtani, even if he was rumored to go there. They weren't going for him. They weren't going for some of the other big name free agents. They were going for these guys to build a good team. They were going for Jung-Ho Lee. Blake Snell was kind of a last second signing, but I'm glad that they got him. Matt Chapman, Jordan Hicks, Jorge Soler, trading for Robbie Ray to really help bolster that rotation. The last time we seen Robbie Ray, he was a Cy Young candidate with Toronto. He was a Cy Young winner with Toronto, and then had a very good first year with the Mariners. He is coming off Tommy John, so you never know how that's going to work out, but I really trust that some of these guys that, like him, like Blake Snell, can go to the Giants and Patrick Bailey and really work well together because, like I said, Patrick Bailey was one of the best defenders last year at catcher in a short time because I believe he got called up in like June. And he had like, I believe he was at the top of the league in catcher DRS last year and framing runs. Like he was super good defensively last year, man. And I think adding those pitchers to the battery mate of Patrick Bailey is going to be very good. They're also pitching in a pitcher's ballpark, the AT&T Park or Oracle, whatever it's called now. is a pitcher's ballpark, and the NL West has a couple other pitcher ballparks. So we've seen the Giants perform well with pitchers in the past. Kevin Gausman kind of turned his career around with the Giants. Logan Webb has come up, and I don't even think Logan Webb is projected to be anything crazy, but he is doing very, very well, man. Very, very well. I'm talking most underrated pitcher in the league. I really fully believe that. Logan Webb is the real deal. He was a Cy Young candidate last year. I don't know how he's on an All-Star yet. I don't know how he didn't get there last year. But anyways, besides that, but yeah, man, I'm really, really loving the team this year. They also got some guys that are supposed to come back. Like, they got a lot of depth too, man. Like Wilmer Flores. Wilmer Flores had a career year last year, man. 23 home runs, I believe, like a 136 OPS plus. Very, very solid year. He is getting a little older. Do I project him to have that type of season again? Probably not. But I really liked what Wilmer Flores was doing. Mike Yastrzemski is another guy that they still have who has been a 20-plus home run guy in the past. He has apparently changed his routine this offseason. I seen an article about him recently. He changed his routine, changed his batting stance. He's been working hard to try to rebound because last year wasn't really a hot year for Yastrzemski. The last couple years weren't really too hot for him, I'll be honest. But I believe that he can rebound. So they got some depth there, man. Michael Conforto is still with them. He was coming off an injury last year coming into the season, and he still had a relatively decent year. He is somebody that can hit 30 home runs. I don't know if he'll be able to return to that type of player after the injury and after some time off of baseball, but I hope that he can. I hope that he can, because I think now they have some guys there despite playing in a pitcher's ballpark, like I mentioned, and against a great division. The NL West is a very, very good division full of great pitchers, keep in mind. You got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, the D-backs. They got some great pitchers across all three of those teams. They have some guys there, though, man. Jorge Soler, 30, 40-plus home run guy in the past. 30, I think he had 38 last year with the Marlins. Miami's not a huge hitter's ballpark, but he hit 38 home runs last year, man. He's got the power there, and I love that they picked him up. Like I said, I wanted Toronto to pick him up, but Jorge Soler is with the Giants, so I'm happy for them. I'm happy for that. Conforto, Matt Chapman is a 30-plus home run guy if he can figure things out. Like I said, it was a pain to watch him last year, but, you know. And like they have the depth, man. Nick Ahmed is projected to be their opening day shortstop, which I don't really know where that came from. I don't really know. Like, I know that they lost out on Brandon Crawford this offseason, so which kind of sucks for them. But Nick Ahmed, he's a good defender. At least he can defend, but he's nothing with the bat, man. They do have some decent prospects for shortstop, so I don't think Nick Ahmed is going to stay there. I don't think he's gonna finish the entire year at shortstop. But who knows? Maybe he rebounds to what he was a couple years ago. A couple years ago, Nick Ahmed was a really solid player. But I don't know. I don't know. That's really the biggest weakest point for the Giants is probably shortstop. But like I said, they do have some decent protection and bench depth in the team. Wilmer Flores is supposed to come back this year at some point. I believe he's starting the year in the IL, but don't correct me or don't count me on that because I'm not really 100% certain. David Villar is also a really solid bat to have, who is projected, I believe, like 15-plus home runs this year, and over a 100 OPS plus. Now, I'm not one that loves to look at projections because I don't really. Half the time, they don't really do that. It's just, it's just projections. They kind of take the last few years that they've done and kind of look at it and think, oh, they're projected to do this year. Like when it comes to certain stadiums that they play in and the pitchers that they face and this and that and like the protection in the lineup and all that stuff. And I'm like, I like looking at projections, but at the same time, I don't because I don't want to, you take it with a grain of salt. So. But either way, man, I'm really, really liking the Giants this year. Like I said, I don't really fully believe that they're going to be a World Series winner. I did title the video this time, but I don't really fully believe that they're going to be a World Series winner. But I'm going to be watching the Giants very closely this year. I think that they could win 85-plus games now. Adding Blake Snell recently. I just made that video a couple weeks ago about the National League standings. I think I had them like 78 wins or 80 wins maybe, and now I think they could win 85 games, adding Blake Snell. And now that I'm looking like deep dive into the team a little bit more, I can say that uh without a grain of salt. You know, I can say that with confidence that the Giants should be a really solid team this year, and I'm going to be watching them very closely. Hopefully they all stay healthy. Hopefully Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb come back and they can be healthy for the entire year. Because like I said, really watch that starting rotation. Blake Snell, Logan Webb, Alex Cobb, Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, if Robbie Ray's like your 4 pitcher, that is really, really good. Even if he's coming off injury, man, I think that is very, very solid. But either way, I know this was kind of like a jumbled video. I was talking about the Giants, kind of getting off topic a little bit, but I just wanted to come on here and talk about the Giants, man. I'm really, really excited for their season. I'm really, really excited to see what they have. I really fully believe in them this year. Like I said, I don't really know if they're going to be World Series winners, but they've surprised us in the past, man. They've made some, like, even years ago when they were World Series winners, like, no one, like, they were always one of those teams that, you know, they might make the playoffs, they might make a run, but they did anyways. They made the World Series. They won the World Series multiple years in the early 2010s. I don't know. This team just kind of somewhat reminds me of some of those teams. I don't know. I don't know if I'm pushing the pedal too much, but either way, that is going to do it for us. A little bit of a shorter video, but I just wanted to talk about the Giants this week. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Comment down below what you guys think. If you guys are going to be watching the Giants this year, make sure to like, subscribe. We also stream over on Twitch 5 to 6 times a week under the same handle, Resurrection00, usually at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We've been playing a lot of MLB The Show this year, or we've always been playing MLB The Show, but MLB The Show 24 just dropped. We've been playing heavy over on Twitch, so make sure to stop by the stream once in a while. I would greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one.